Good morning, everyone. Ben here, and today I know I said I was going to do this as election night, but I decided against it for a few reasons. First, the two takes I've already tried did not. I don't think they were very quality, and it definitely sounds like I was sick and not up to myself, so it wouldn't be the same. Again, my voice still, is pretty bad. It's not an excuse, it's a reason. The other reason is because I kind of want to explain my thoughts and the reasons why I've made decisions the way I did. Why I make decisions the way I do. Because that's the thing about election nights is I'm not a huge fan of the no real accountability in election nights. Because, yes, it's a prediction, but you don't get to explain your reasons for giving a certain state to a person. And I think you lose something in that because it just allows people to go, oh, well, this is biased because X state went for this candidate or something like that. Whereas now that I'm explaining my reasoning, there's a little bit less reason to claim bias, or at least I think there is. Though that's not really going to change people accusing me of bias, really. So, anyway, we're going to do kind of an alternate history. What if Trey Gowdy had been the Republican nominee in 2016 versus Hillary Clinton? He didn't even run, but just a hypothetical. And Trey Gowdy wasn't really well known until 2017. So how well people know him kind of factors in, both to and against him, both for and against him. Because before 2017, what I've been able to gather is, he was a little bit more conservative than most Republicans, but he was about as close to a generic Republican as you're going to get, other than the fact that he's a Southerner. So that will help him out, I feel, significantly. But he's also not well known, or he wasn't well known at the time, so, and the primary process would help a little bit, but I'm not going to give him, full points for being a super well-known person, like, say, a Ted Cruz or a Donald Trump or even a Hillary Clinton. But he'd be able to pick up certain voters that Trump turned off and probably turned over to libertarians. And I'm going to assume that third parties wouldn't be as major a factor as they were in 2016. Due to the fact that there is both of these candidates are absolute shit. So, yeah. We're gonna vote third party because we don't want to vote for either of the two major party candidates. Like, if one of them was quality, we vote for that one. But both are absolutely terrible, so we're voting third party. Trey Gowdy would probably be able to pick up most of those voters. So I would suspect that nationally it would be a dead tie. But Trey Gowdy's within, say, 100,000 votes either way. Not really enough to be statistically significant. And Trey Gowdy's appeal isn't where Trump's appeal is. Trey Gowdy would be able to appeal to the more traditional crowd, essentially the Bush, the Bush Jr. coalition, the W coalition. Is it really a coalition? But my point remains, he'd be able to appeal to those kinds of voters, whereas Clinton is kind of a drag on the Democrat Party and the Democrat ticket. And she wouldn't get never Trump voters because there is no Trump on the ticket. Gowdy would still be able to pick up those disaffected Democrat voter, maybe some what was the word I used? Would be able to pick up some of those Democrat voters who would never in a million years vote for Clinton, provided they weren't progressives. And I'm going to assume Clinton still chooses Tim Kaine as her vice presidential nominee. And Gowdy, I'm going to say he picks someone from, I don't know, the Southwest, maybe Nevada or Arizona, Colorado or New Mexico, or Utah, one of those, a state from that area, maybe Colorado. Let's choose Colorado. So, just because that makes the most sense, from a swing state, from an important area. So we're going to get the safe states out of the way. All these states would vote basically how they did, how they would be expected to vote. Okay. And I don't think there is a snowball's chance in hell that these states would be competitive. Maine would not. Well, we'll talk about Maine. Just because it is interesting. Utah, there wouldn't be an Evan McMullin dragging Trump down, or in this case, Gowdy. Nebraska, I'm not even going to talk about that because that district would not be competitive. Texas wouldn't be within 10%. Texas would be along the lines of what Republicans normally win the state with. So this is what our swing state map looks like. Basically, the states I covered in our swing state analysis. Well, I can already say that Clinton would probably win New Mexico. And I think she would win Minnesota by a bit wider of a margin than 2016. She would also carry Michigan, but very narrowly. Same thing with Pennsylvania. Because Gowdy isn't the type of Republican who can appeal to the Rust Belt. But Wisconsin, I think 2016 was the year Wisconsin should have been expected to go to the Republicans under normal circumstances, especially in a dead even election. You know, they have a GOP senator, they've had a GOP governor who's been recounted twice or something stupid like that, and every single time he runs for the gubernatorial election, he wins by an even wider margin. It's one of those, that makes sense. So I'm going to give him Wisconsin. That's probably my only truly controversial pick. He'd get Iowa, probably not by as wide margin as Trump got it. Ohio, same thing. I think it'd be in this lean category. Well, it'd probably be in the same category as Iowa, but it wouldn't be as wide. It'd be closer to 5% rather than 10%, both states that Trump won it by. Wisconsin would be by far the closest state, by the way. Clinton still gets Virginia, albeit it's slightly narrower, and I think the only reason she carried Virginia was because of Tim Kaine, rather than because Trump was so bad, because she won it by about 3%, and the vice presidential nominee typically helps out by about 3% in their home state. I'll see if I can find that article that Nate Silver did that actually analyzed the home state advantage at presidential elections. Found that the top of the ticket, they tend to do about 7 points better on average in their home state. Um, and of course, the vice presidential pick typically does about 3 points better on average. Maine, I'm going to say Gowdy probably wouldn't carry the 2nd district, and definitely wouldn't carry the state. But it'd be very narrow as well. North Carolina and Georgia, those would pretty much go to Gowdy, I suspect. He's a Southerner, and there is a little bit of Southern bias. Arizona definitely would go to Gowdy by about a little bit over 4, probably 5%, right on that edge between where this lightest shade and this one, which I call leaning and likely, or leaning and whatever you would call this. New Hampshire, I'm going to give this one to Gowdy. I think he'd be a better New Hampshire candidate than Trump was. And New Hampshire was a very close state anyway. So I think that in traditional swing states, Gowdy would probably do maybe better. In certain traditional swing states, Gowdy would probably do better than Trump did, but in others, not so much. I'm going to go ahead and say that unless Gowdy picks someone from Colorado to be his vice presidential nominee, he's not getting Colorado. And that all depends. However, Nevada, I think he would carry. Remember, Clinton only carried it by like 27,000 votes. There is definitely 27,000 votes out there for a Republican who is not Trump. And even Trump could make that up if he maybe had changed his rhetoric or a few other things. And then we come to big old Florida. And Trump won this by a surprisingly wide margin. I think it'd be narrower with Gowdy, but I still think that in the end he would pull it out. But, so this would probably be my Gowdy versus Clinton map. Clinton is still hurt because she's Clinton, but Gowdy is also hurt because he's relatively unknown. If he was a more well-known Republican, I could see flipping Colorado, maybe Virginia, but again, he's an unknown, and even then, I probably wouldn't. Maybe Pennsylvania, but that may be a bridge too far for any Republican not from Pennsylvania and any Republican not Trump, or a Midwesterner / Rust Belter. So yeah, this would be what I would think Gowdy versus Clinton would look like in 2016. Just because we would have been coming off of a 2-term Democrat presidency. Typically, that's beneficial for the Republicans. Sorry about that. Anyway, guys, I'm going to thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy. Bye.